In the middle of your Bible, between the prophets Jeremiah and Ezekiel, there's a short book you might not have spent much time in before. Set in the days after the destruction of Jerusalem, the book of Lamentations is a cry to God for mercy. Everything was shattered. Everything the people of Israel thought they knew about God had been turned on its head. The land that God had promised to their ancestors, to Moses, to Isaac, going as far back as Abraham, the land that was meant to be their salvation, the one place on earth where the true God was worshipped, was now overrun by the Babylonian Empire, its people exiled, its streets awash with blood. There is an eerie similarity between those desolate, empty streets in the Book of Lamentations and the empty ones many of us now see outside our homes as we look out our windows or out our front doors. People hurrying past each other in the street, each family fending for themselves. All of us caught up in shock and fear, wondering how this could have happened and why now. Like the people of ancient Israel, our hearts cry out for answers, for saviors and saving voices, for big narratives that explain it all. Those of us who are Christians wonder what God is doing. Did he create the virus? Is he punishing us? Is he teaching us a lesson? Or is he just ignoring us, leaving us to suffer through this strange evil alone? We hear the same search for an explanation in the Book of Lamentations. One moment we get a clear proclamation that this is God bringing judgment for the sins of Israel, an Israel that has sinned greatly, that has become unclean. The next, all that conviction dissolves at the sight of an innocent person suffering, the mother witnessing the death of her own children, the priest slaughtered in the temple. If this is judgment, why is it so arbitrary and unfair? We today might also wonder if this virus is God's judgment. We are a society that has strayed far from God, a society that has bled out its spirit for the material world, a society that now fears the judgment of its peers more than it does the judgment of God. But when we see those who are suffering most from this virus, the sick, the old, the vulnerably employed, we realize if this is God's judgment, we can't make sense of it in any clear or easy way. Most of all, it is the silence of God that is hard to bear. The feeling that God has withdrawn his hand of protection from the world, that he has stepped back, that he isn't talking or acting, just letting this invisible evil claim one life after another, one job after another in silence. And whether it was the invisible evil of starvation, loneliness, homelessness, exile, it was those things too that most sapped the strength of those who lived through the fall of Jerusalem all those years ago, most sapped their faith in God. But it is at this moment that the Book of Lamentations has its most powerful words for us. The Lord is my portion, we hear, over and over again. The Lord is my portion. Because we so often hear that God is pure joy, that we as Christians are living in this moment of eternal jubilee at the fact of our salvation, because of our God that died for us on the cross. And of course that's true. But we need to remember as well, not every moment in the gospel story was the resurrection. Not every moment in the gospel story was Christ rising triumphant from the dead. The moment in the garden, the night before his arrest, when Jesus cried out to a silent God, asking for another way. The moment on the cross, when Christ gave up his spirit, sure that God had forsaken him. These are just as real and just as important moments in God's saving story as the moment of the glorious resurrection, just as valid moments in the Christian life. The Lord is my portion. Sometimes it's okay for God to just be enough, in a way that's even more precious than him being everything. He is, rather, what you need, exactly what you need, measured for you, given for you, prepared for you and you alone, in whatever place you find yourself in. Cling to him at this time. Reckon not with your own strength and resources, but reckon with his, and you will find that they will always suffice for you. Grieve because God is with you in your grief. Cry because God is with you in your tears, but also live because God is with you in your life, and He will provide for you. He is your portion, no more, no less.